Hi students, welcome again to my channel CS Bhasha, and today we're going to talk about the computer network, because a lot of students were saying me to put some video on computer networks, which is another module of your class 12th curriculum. So if we just start about the network, just wanted to tell you that we'll be having this session in 2-3 videos. So I will not be, and I would rather not like to finish everything in the single video, otherwise it will become very monotonous, because it's a topic which requires a lot of not just understanding but certain concepts that you need to remember also. So let's start with the very first term, which is called as the evolution of networking. पहली बात तो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए, नेटवर्क का मतलब है कि इंटरकनेक्शन. जब हम बात करते हैं when there are two or more systems which are communicating with each other in terms of sending or receiving the data, so that basically forms a network. So when you have computers together connected to each other so that they can share the data, share the information, that is called as network. And why do we do that? We do that so that we can exchange data, we can exchange information. What is the other advantage of it? The other advantage of networking is, like, if I have a lot of machines, in say a single room, like for example your computer lab, but your room has just one printer. So in that kind of situation, that single printer can be connected to multiple machines, and for every single machine you don't have to purchase separate printer, and therefore resources shared, and that concept is again another advantage of networking. So resource sharing is there. Now सबसे पहले हम देखते हैं कि इंटरनेट या नेटवर्किंग के कॉन्सेप्ट की बेसिकली हिस्ट्री क्या है. जस्ट टू टेल यू दैट ARPANET was basically, there was an agency in US called as American Research Project Agency, that is ARPA. Okay, so they were the one basically, they tried to form the network, which was called as the Advanced Research Project Agency Network. It was formed by US, and it was funded by what you call the Department of Defense of US. So that was being funded by DoD, and they started exchanging the messages between ULCA and SRI. So initially, the first successful message that was being sent was in 1969. Um, we will not call it completely successful, because in one of the cases it was like bounced back, and in the other cases only the first two letters were like sent. So to the Stanford Research Institute, only the first two word of the message called login was sent. So that actually happened, but then gradually it got improved, and in the year 1970, started with the successful sending of messages and all. So it started growing continuously by the year 1970. Okay, so we should know that there is no one right now organization which is actually owning the internet. It's basically a lot of communities which are there, which are working on this platform, so that the information and the data can be shared. Now, well, let's talk about the term internet. As we say that when we talk about the hardware terminology, हम जिसे बोलते हैं ना interconnection of networks. So that's basically the internet concept that we have, but we are supposed to remember that now using the ARPANET, sorry, and of course with the Department of Defense, they further got slowly and gradually connected with the other universities and other organizations, which included the University of College of London. It also included the Royal Radar Network and all. And slowly and gradually, this interconnection of computers expanded, which was further called as Internet, and hence the name called Internet, which uh, came, and that's what we basically know nowadays. So it's interesting to know that this network was named as Internet by Winton Cerf and Jürgen Dalal and Carl Sunshine of Stanford University. There's another term that we should know which is called as interspace. People are talking about it a lot nowadays. Say interspace is something which is of course a new terminology where there is always a possibility where multiple users can communicate online real time, not only using the voice communication but using the video and the text communication also. So if I just have to give you an example in this case, just remember that suppose in future if you would like to um say allot, if somebody is allotting the parking space and for your organization, and you are reserving your parking in advance using this kind of concept. So you are reserving a particular given slot for a particular time period for, and that particular area will be completely allotted to you. So there is an interspace which is uh, allotted specifically for your as per your requirement. So the protocol in this case will be automatically interconnected related logical spaces, because here we are talking about the logical spaces, and you can actually explore and you can interlink the objects within the networks. But it's the important thing that actually it requires is that here the multiple users can communicate with the real time audio, video and text and this kind of thing. So it's something which is not an old terminology, but at the same time it's not very much uh, you know uh, into the existence. It is very much there, but it will going to take some time to come into full flow and all. So this terminology of interspace is there, and it is growing very gradually and fast at the same time. Now, when we are talking about the interconnection of networks, we also have certain switching techniques. So basically, what exactly is a switching technique? Where it's basically a technique which tells us how we are supposed to send the data across the network. So there are two basic techniques that we are having. One is called as circuit switching, and another one is called as a packet switching. So you just supposed to remember when you're dealing with information of data, which is in the form of the text, where the data is taken, it is broken up into small blocks called as those packets, and then each packet is given some kind of address, and then that data is basically sent from the sender terminal to the receiver terminal. So in that kind of case, the switching technique which is required is called as a packet switching. But in the case of circuit switching, when you deal with something called as audio conferencing or video conferencing, so you require the dedicated line, so that there is no distortion between your video signals when you're talking to somebody on video chat and all. So that kind of switching technique which is required is basically circuit switch. So you have to remember that in circuit switching you require a dedicated path. Here in this case, there is a physical path which gets established between the source and the destination, and in that case it is the path is generally uniform, because the path is not changed, it is just the same path, so that you're able to communicate properly with, so there is a proper communication between the sender and the receiver. When we are talking about packet switching, as I said, the data is taken, it's basically when you need to deliver or send the textual data. In that case, the data or the file gets divided into small blocks or packets, where each packet is given the address number also, and then it is not necessary that each packet has to take the or follow the same path when you are, or you can say a uniform path from sender to the receiver end. So depending upon whichever path is available on the network, whichever is free, the data can be sent from one place to another place, and once it reaches the terminal, uh, the receiver's terminal, in that kind of situation, what will exactly going to happen is that there the reassembling of those packets is taken place, and you will be able to, and then the packets are aligned as per their actual addresses, and then the receiver actually receives the entire message. So depending upon this technique, there are few advantages and few disadvantages also of both the kind of switching methodologies. So first of all, we need to remember that in the case of circuit switching, the bandwidth is more, because you require first of all a dedicated path, and constantly there is a video data which is getting a dedicated line which is there, because of which you need to send a lot of data at the same time. So it requires more bandwidth. Secondly, it is, of course, when you require more bandwidth, you need to pay more for it, because a dedicated connection is required to be established. And similarly, when the communication is long and it is preferred for dedicated connection only. Similarly, when you are talking about the time taken between the two stations, there could be a possibility, because you have to wait for the establishment. There shouldn't be any congestion between the two areas where you are sent from, where you are starting the communication, and the area where there is the communication which has to be established. Therefore it may take some time. And finally, when we are talking about the this kind of switching technique, we have to remember that because a dedicated channel has to be used, so the transmission of the other data becomes impossible, which means while there is a dedicated transmission happening of the audio and the video kind of data, in that kind of situation, you have to remember that if there is another kind of data which requires to be transmitted at that particular point of time, then that becomes difficult. While in the case of packet switching, of course, it's basically for textual data, so you're supposed to remember it's less bandwidth. Of course, if the less bandwidth is required, you don't have to pay much amount for it. It's cheaper as compared to circuit switching. And high quality voice calls cannot use a packet switching. That is a limitation, because there is a lot of delay in the communication. And similarly, there is no time which is taken to establish this connection. This is again an advantage or one of the features. So you are supposed to remember that it takes the data gets delivered at the destination place very quickly, and at the same time the multiple users can also use the same channel while transferring their data. Now when we are transferring the information or the data, we require some medium so that we can communicate and we can send the data. So let's talk about our next topic, which is called as data communication terminology. So basically, what exactly is a data communication, where it's nothing but transferring the data between the two computers or the two networks. As you all know, we are very familiar with certain terms, because we are using these terms in our everyday life, whether we are watching TV, or we are watching uh, playing a game on the system, or we are uh, using the broadband and all that. So we require to send or receive the data uh, from one system or one terminal to another terminal. Therefore, we require two types of channels. So, first terminology in data communication is a channel. That particular channel requires two kind of mediums. One is called as a guided or the wired medium, and the other is called as unguided or the wireless medium. So, guided means when I'm using the wired medium to transfer the data from the source to the destination, and some of the examples are fiber optic, twisted pair, and coaxial cable, which are actually in your course. Similarly, in wireless, guided or unguided basically means you're using infrared, radio waves, microwaves, satellites, of course. So, as I said, some of these terminologies you have already seen, you have already kind of using, like infrared is something which we use very often in our home through our remote controls and all. So, but we'll talk about each one of them in detail. But before that, let's talk about this term which we have been talking about, called as bandwidth. See, when you transfer the data from one computer to another computer, from one place to another place, using certain channels, what happens is the connection is formed on the basis of some range of frequencies. So there is a lower level of frequency and there is a higher level of frequency, and that band which is formed which is from the lower level of frequency to the higher level of frequency. Wider that band, obviously better will be the bandwidth. So if when the data is transferred over different frequencies, then that difference is actually called as its bandwidth. And what does bandwidth tell us? It basically tells us that how much data, or the bandwidth of a system is actually dependent on how much data can be sent or it can be received on that particular channel. So it's basically nothing but a bandwidth is the capacity of the channel to send or to receive data. So you can see that you have this bandwidth, and it tells it how much data can be sent or how much data can be received. At the same time, we also have certain terms called as data transfer rate, which tells us that how much amount of data can be transferred from one place to another place in a given time. So that is called as the bit rate. Okay, so the data is measured in terms of bit, but the time is measured in terms of seconds. And the unit that we talk about is bit per second, kilobits per second, megabits per second, gigabits per second, as you can see, terabits per second, and so on. So let's talk about these mediums in detail one by one. When we talk about the wired medium, we require certain things like twisted pair, or we do require coaxial cable. We also require the fiber optics. So let's talk about these kind of wired terminologies in detail. So first of all, if I have to show you how does a twisted pair cable look like, this is something a twisted pair will going to look like. And here we are supposed to remember that in this kind of case, see, when we are trying to transfer the data from one place to another place, you should remember that there is a current also which is there in the wire, which is it causes the noise, and that noise is actually there due to the presence of the electric and the magnetic field. So therefore, these wires in the twisted pair cable, they are twisted. They are twisted so that the twisting of the wires, it causes the reduction in the noise which is caused due to the electromagnetic induction. So that's what we are supposed to remember, that the reason why these wires are twisted is so that that noise which is there due to the electromagnetic induction, that can be reduced, and the the signal, the final signal which reaches the destination system is mostly you can say noise free. Alright, so therefore we basically have the twist. Now there are few advantages. We are supposed to remember where exactly do we see this twisted pair cable. We see these twisted pair cables in simple local area networks in our computer lab. We must have, you please notice next time, the telephone wires. So there also the twisted pair cable is used. So you're supposed to remember with certain advantages. It's not very expensive. Secondly, you are allowing it to carry the analog as well as the digital data, and of course it is less expensive for a shorter distance. But the disadvantages, when we talk about the noise, it does not remove the noise to 100%, but to certain extent the noise is reduced or removed, but it's still prone to noise. Secondly, the bandwidth of course is less in this case. So if you want to send a very heavy file, that will going to create a problem. You will not be able to send it properly. And finally, it is less durable because it requires a lot of maintenance. And less durable, why? Because if this something happens to the wire and it's cut, then obviously your entire network gets disrupted. The second one that we have to do is the coaxial cable, and let me just tell you how does a coaxial cable going to look like. So this is how a coaxial cable can look like, and children, just have a look at the picture. There is a copper wire over which there is some kind of insulation. Further, there is a mesh of wires, and finally there is an outer covering. So of course, when we talk about the coaxial cable, I'll tell you the best example of the coaxial cable that you see is in your cable TV. So that thick black color wire is basically a coaxial cable, which is of course more durable. And here it's this outer covering which is given, that is that black coating, that covering is given. It's given so that the resolution of the data which is received at the other end is definitely better, and it does not interfere with the other frequencies also. And uh, it's something which is, you can say, more reliable as compared to the twisted pair. Okay, so the best example that you see it is in TV. So, but it also has a lot of advantages and disadvantages. So the first advantage in this case is it's not expensive. For shorter distance, yes, the installation is not very difficult at all. It is easy installation, and the bandwidth is definitely better when we try to compare it with the twisted pair. But at the same time, it is a heavy wire as compared to the twisted pair. So the first disadvantage is it's a bulky wire. Secondly, of course, if you have to plan this for a very long distance of few kilometers, in that case it will be costly. Unless if the moment you try to use it for a very long distance, you need to use the repeater, and therefore the signal loss will be there. The next one that we have is the optical fiber, and the optical fiber is something which looks like this. And optical fiber also contains, see, basically optical fiber works on the principle of light. Optical word means light. So optical fiber is basically a concept where there are very thin strands of glasses where the light travels. So the light is traveled in the optical fiber by bouncing the ball of the cable repeatedly, and each light particle which bounces that wall, it actually acts like it because it bounces the wall of the glass, therefore it causes multiple reflections, and it reaches the destination system at a very faster pace, that is the speed of light. So you should remember that it contains the strand of glass. It is very good for long distance, and of course very high performance communication. It uses the internal reflection, as I just told you, and it transmits data by light uh, at a very high speed. At the same time, it also has advantages and disadvantages. So the first advantage is it gives you greater bandwidth and the speed is very good. Next is the data loss is very less in this kind of situation, with this kind of case. And here it's thinner, it is lighter in weight. So when you need to have it at a very long distance also, there's not much of a problem when it comes to the transportation. It is definitely secure, but at the same time it's very expensive if you try to compare it with the twisted pair and the coaxial cable. At the same time, its installation is also not very cheap. It is expensive and little difficult to install, but the moment it is cut, then yes, again the cost will become a major factor, and you have to send the entire network gets disrupted. Now we talk about few unguided medium of transmission. The first one in this category is infrared. So infrared is the most common example of infrared is what we see in our homes. That's your TV remote. So which is basically having a particular frequency, ranging where it's basically required for short distance communication, and infrared waves are there so that the two devices can communicate with each other, where these, it uses the pulses of the non-visible light to communicate between the devices, and it has the different wavelengths, so that according to the given wavelengths there is the visible light has a wavelength which ranges from red light to the violet light. And we are supposed to remember that in the case of infrared transmission, it will not be able to penetrate if there is an obstruction also, okay, due to the restriction of the given wavelengths and all. So the advantage and the disadvantages, that the first advantage is it's very simple, it's cheap, what is the cost of your remote control? It's hardly anything. It's at the same time, it's very fast, because the moment you need to change a channel, it hardly takes any time. It's very much portable, that also you have seen. And of course, it gets immunity from noise. So you don't see, because of the noise, there is any kind of disruption while the connection is being established. But at the same time, we cannot transfer a huge data using the infrared, therefore it has low bandwidth. Secondly, uh, it cannot penetrate through walls, as I just told you in the beginning. And at the same time, yes, there are cases where, if you're trying to use infrared uh, outside a particular area, then they are definitely light and weather sensitive. So at the same time, the range is very short, as we all know, because we cannot take it beyond few meters. The next one that we have in this kind of category is a radio link. And radio link also, as you've seen, when you switch on your FM, and also you see the different channels coming at different frequencies. So here comes into the picture, when we talk about the radio link, we are supposed to remember that these are those waves which are having a range of frequency from 10 kilohertz to 300 gigahertz. And you are supposed to remember that radio waves are actually all over the place, so they are on all distance. They can pass through different obstacles, so there is no restriction with that. That is why you're able to hear even your FM radio when you're sitting at home, or even outside, or in your car, or anywhere, because these waves, they travel at different frequencies, low as well as high. And in high frequency also, they travel in all direction. There is no problem from the obstruction that you have. And the best example I've already given you of FM. But what are the advantages and what are the different disadvantages of the radio link? The advantage and the disadvantages are: initial setup will take some cost, and at the same time, they are used in long distance communication. The disadvantages: this, yes, they have, the security is not very good, because with these different frequencies, if there is another instrument working at the same frequency, they can always hijack your signal, and they can come to know what exactly is happening at that particular frequency. So they're also permitted at certain frequency bands. So not all frequency bands are it's there. They are only restricted to certain frequency bands. So that's basically the restriction and the limitation with radio link. So on the if you just go to one step higher, we have something called as microwave link. With microwave link, we have long and huge towers, where you will see that if I want to transfer my data from one place in the mountain to another place, to a city. And also, you must have noticed those big towers even on the top of the mountain hill, for long communication. So basically, microwave links are those links where we need to transfer the information or the data at a different frequency range of 1 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. And at the same time, they are not able to penetrate through the walls, but since they are placed at the top of the, you can say a hill or something, so there we don't have a problem as far as the transferring of signal is concerned. They also travel in straight line, and unlike radio waves, they do not pass through the obstacle. So you're supposed to remember, that is why they are always installed at the rooftop, or they are installed at the hills, and so on. So what are the advantages of microwave link? The advantages are, they allow you to have even the data of like audio and video with a larger amount of data without any kind of problem. So it supports larger bandwidth. Secondly, the power consumption of the signal is also low in this case. Okay, and the disadvantage is, the initial setup again is very costly, so it requires the software also, and that costs something. Secondly, the frequency in the microwave requires the government licensing, and at the same time, there could be a possibility of electromagnetic interference in this case. Okay, because we all know that we all are surrounded with the radio waves uh, all over the place, so there could always be a possibility. The final transmission medium that we're going to talk about today is the satellite link, where we all know that there is a satellite, which are required for a wider area network, where we need to communicate and we need to send the information from one place to another place. It could be from one part of a city to another part of another city, or one part of a city to of one country to another part of another city of another country. Okay, so for that you're supposed to remember that there are, on different areas of the earth, there are earth stations. So satellite communicates with these earth stations, which are further communicated by the terrestrial networks, and then these networks are the one which communicate with the user and the sender. So how the data and is transferred, or how the communication is actually occurring, it all depends in this cases that when the user has to send some kind of information, so he or she communicates with the terrestrial network. So there is an uplink frequency which gets established to the, or to send to the earth station, and then earth station further communicates with the satellite, and then this satellite, when it has to send the information to the destination system, it further does the same thing. It communicates with the earth station using the down frequency, sends the data to the terrestrial network, which reaches the required system. But remember, whether it is up frequency or it is downlink frequency, the two frequencies are different, so that they don't interfere with each other. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of satellite link? The advantages: it covers a wider range, it has a higher bandwidth, and long distances. It is for long distances. It's of course cheaper. The disadvantages: installation, you all know, for installing a satellite it's very expensive. There could be a possibility, secondly, in delaying the messages due to some reasons when we talk about these long distance communication. So I hope, children, the first part is clear to you. So I'll come up with the next part in my next video, where we'll talk about the networking device. So if you have any queries, don't forget to write under the comment section, and if there's anything that you want me to explain further, please do let me know. If you like the video, do share and subscribe, and have a lovely day.